different one. But I like this system. I think it was actually a 13. But it incorporates a lot of new technology. It has an ISG alternator style, and has an ISG as well as in the transmission, the electric motor. It has auto stop feature, and it has a hybrid system in it. So it has a lot of different technology in it. It's supposed to have like a crazy amount of miles per gallon, and this is a 2013. So they should be getting better and better every time. So this was a pretty interesting one that I saw.
The Sonata's hybrid blue drive is a quantum leap in engineering and fuel efficiency.
So check this
It's
out.
a quantum leap in engineering and fuel efficiency.
Why is this guy so massive?
Because life.
Whoa. This is technically considered a hybrid starter generator, but look at it. Why is it so huge? What is it trying to do? What does it do? What's its purpose? Nobody?
Mm,
Hello? No?
start
So,
the engine.
what's up?
To start the engine,
That it does one, yeah, it does start in the engine. What else does an alternator do? Well, this is a
charge the battery.
so this one is a hybrid. It does two things. It starts the engine when it comes to a stop, as well as it charges the battery when it needs to be charged, depending on the amount of amperage input and output that it needs to support all of the electrical accessories in your actual vehicle. So since this is considered a hybrid system, it has a more robust hybrid starter generator. Now, do you see these pipes right here? What do you think these pipes are for? These right here, this one and that one.
I love how I've been trying to talk this entire time and my mic's been muted.
Oh no.
Cooling.
Yeah. So on this one, I mean, this is a rare case, but a lot of these heavy duty applications, you're gonna have an alternator that has a cooling passage that has coolant in there. Now it's controlled by, of course, your engine temperature, your coolant temperature, your thermostat. So it uses a water cooled system to keep your internal components cool. Uh, 99% of the alternators either have an external fan or an internal fan to cool it. In this case, this one actually has a coolant passageway that goes through the alternator to keep it cool in that form. So it's pretty interesting. The only thing, what do you think is the one downside about this system? About this one component right here? What do you think is the one downside?
It'll probably be pretty expensive to replace.
Yeah.
Yes, it is very, very expensive. We had a 2013, 2014 Malibu that I was working on at one point at the dealer, and it had something very similar to this. It didn't have a coolant passage alternator, but it did have an alternator that was doing uh, it was doing the ISG integrated starter generator purpose. And the customer came in, he was already out of warranty, and of course we did the diagnostic test, electrical circuits, checking the voltage, checking the parameters. The computer was commanding it correctly, but the actual ISG was not functioning properly. Well, this component right here for the Chevy Malibu at that time was $1,200, not including the labor for diagnostics or installing. So $1,200 to replace an ISG starter generator system. That is extremely expensive. Now, of course, the technology that we've been using in today's vehicles, it's supposed to be better for, the environment, more miles per gallon, which is honestly is true. When we started getting these new trucks, I'm pretty sure you all have suspension already. It's kind of phasing away from hydraulic steering. Where have we kind of moved to?
Electronic steering.
Yeah, exactly. We've moved to an electronic motor that does your actual controlling of your steering. When we first got the new trucks, what do people usually do with trucks here in the valley, especially?
Run them into the ground, Exactly.
They either lower them or they raise them up stupid high. That's what it is. It's those two. So, is the design made for a lower truck or a lifted truck?
No.
No, they're designed for a stock height, stop truck, whatever. And what was happening was we didn't get a lot of lower trucks for this problem. But we got a lot of lifted trucks for this problem. The electronic power steering, electronic rack. Let me show you real quick. The electronic rack was going out internally, and at that time, they didn't have a repair for it because it was a whole complete assembly. So what they had to do was literally replace the whole rack and pinion, including the motor, for it to work properly, which is unfortunate, but that's what they had to do. And it was around $1,200 for it to actually function properly the way it was. But since this is out of warranty, it was usually a customer pay that the customer had to uh, pretty much pay for the labor, pay for the part up front because it was not covered under warranty because the vehicle was modified out of the warranty information, warranty specs. So it was an expensive component. And let's say it was like a 16 Silverado. And we used to have a lot of these. Another thing is it would put a lot of stress on the rack because, and we'll go over that right now. Let me just bring it up. Suspension, steering. So check this out. On this power steering system, the electric steering system, the belt-driven electronic power steering system consists of the following components: an integrated electromechanical power steering unit containing the power control steering module, its sensors, the power steering motor, a belt drive, and a ball nut mechanism, and the steering gear rack. So the whole thing would have to be replaced, and that's why it's extremely expensive. Now, the thing is, how do you increase the amount of effort in a motor, in an electrical motor? What do you have to increase? And it's electric, so how do you have to increase it?
You have to increase the amount of amperage.
Yes, exactly. So when you start adding a lift kit, you start adding big tires, 35-inch, 36-inch tires, something that is not supposed to be on there. What is happening to your motor now?
It doesn't have enough power to actually turn the wheel.
Yeah. So what happens is you're stressing out this small electric motor that is not designed for this, and it overheats. And once it overheats, that's it. You cannot fix this unit. And this unit is this whole assembly right here. Number one, this is your electric motor right here. This is your whole rack with your inner and outer tie rods, as well as your steering linkage that goes right there. This complete unit would have to be replaced in this instance because everything's built in. The motor, the module, the sensors, everything is inside this one module right here. It's insane. Usually on a hydraulic unit, you have a power steering pump, you have some lines, and you have the rack. That's about it. You can replace things separately. On this one, it's not the case. On this one, it is a module slash power steering rack slash motor slash sensors. It is all combined in one unit. It works good, but once it's being used for stuff that it's not being designed for, that's when things start to fail. And that's with any manufacturer. It's not designed for aftermarket things like that. So it's pretty interesting. I've run across that several times at the dealer, and it was an expensive repair. You have to replace the whole damn unit. And customers didn't like that. So going back to the ISG, this is Sonata's design for their hybrid starter generator. It is a massive looking thing. It is water cooled, and it does several things to actually charge the vehicle as well as start the vehicle when it is in a stop motion.
Its unique system uses a hybrid starter generator to start the gasoline engine.
Now, if you look at this has a giant belt. If you look at this belt, it kind of reminds me like a supercharger belt, and it actually has several pulleys to pretty much apply a lot of tension to this actual hybrid starter generator. Reason being is this guy has to rotate the crankshaft. The crankshaft is connected to your pistons. It is able to rotate the pistons and apply fuel and ignition to get it going instantly. So it's very smooth, very smooth transaction. Be sure whenever you work on anything new that you don't know, I've told you before, always look at the description and operation before handling any type of work like this. So be careful.
The hybrid blue drive system.
Hold on. What do you think? What do you think these two are?
Probably one's the water pump.
Yeah, more than likely this is the water pump. What do you think this is?
Power steering pump, most likely.
Power steering could be the power steering. What about the AC?
Yeah, probably. Maybe.
Could be the AC. Yeah,
I don't see AC
Good.
lines going in though.
that's true. Could be the power. Well, actually, I think this is the AC lines right there. They're just not showing it. We'll see. Hope maybe we'll see it. Yeah, later on. But yeah, so if you look at this, look at the front of the engine. There's not a lot of stuff going on. A lot of your vehicles nowadays, you have a giant belt that's going through your alternator, your pulley, smog pump. There's a lot of different things that are on there. AC compressor, idler pulley. They're actually bringing it down a lot. If you can look at this, more than likely, I feel like this more than likely will be a water pump, which is physically driven by the harmonic balancer. This is your alternator, and I think this is your compressor, but we'll find out right now when we go towards the video. But if you're looking at it, they're actually releasing a lot of load by removing things that are being driven. AC compressor, your smog pumps, alternator, stuff like that, like all the stuff that is not really needed, power steering pumps, it's being removed, which actually increases your amount of power from your engine as well as the fuel economy that your engine can actually output. So it's pretty cool. So now on this
The hybrid blue
system right
drive
here,
system
it
is among the
has
first full
pretty
hybrid
cool
systems on the
transmission.
market to use a conventional 6-speed step ratio automatic transmission.
So
With-
look at this. What does this look like now? I think we talked about this in starters. What does this kind of system look like?
Looks like your brush is for a motor.
Yeah, it's actually a brushless motor. So they incorporated a hybrid starter generator, and they've incorporated a brushless motor that is attached to your transmission. So now you have two different types of hybrid motors. It is pretty amazing because you still have a basic 6-speed transmission, but instead of having like a clutch or a torque converter, you have an electric style system that actually is able to run your vehicle through electric power in this brushless motor that applies power to your transmission while the engine is turned off through electricity. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, this is kind of like a test phase where they've gone from internal combustion engines to a very strong hybrid phase, and then right now they actually pretty much have full electric vehicles. But I thought this was pretty interesting. Now, me personally, would I buy this vehicle? Probably not, because I think I've told y'all, guys, there's a lot of electrical parts now. The more components that you have on there, the more problems you're going to get down the line. Now you have a $1,200 ISG motor. You're going to have like a $2,000 electric motor between your transmission and engine. Everything is going to be stupid complex and expensive. That's what's going to happen. And you know what? Everything down the
This
line
provides
will
more
wear out.
satisfying feedback than the continuously variable transmission
So this is that motor.
on competitive hybrids. The system's compact electric motor is placed between the gasoline engine and the transmission. The Sonata Hybrid's breakthrough lithium polymer batteries are 20 to 30% lighter, have 10% greater efficiency, and take up 40% less volume than the nickel metal hydride battery.
If you look at this guy actually has a blower fan motor that is actually incorporated inside of your battery packs. Reason being is anytime you increase the amount of amperage and voltage, these batteries start to get hot. So I think Tesla has a method where they actually have engine coolant cooling down the passages of the battery cells. And this function, or this vehicle right here, they use a blower motor to exhaust any of the heat outside of the vehicle to keep the actual batteries cool. So that was pretty interesting.
Volume than the nickel metal hydride batteries found in competitive hybrids. The Sonata Hybrid's advanced design leads to a best-in-class highway fuel economy rating of 40 miles per gallon. The Sonata Hybrid is virtually silent at startup. As a parallel hybrid, the car initially operates on the battery-powered electric motor, while the
Engine's
gasoline
off.
engine is off, minimizing fuel consumption and noise, and generating zero emissions. As the Sonata Hybrid accelerates and more power is needed, the hybrid starter generator starts the four-cylinder gasoline engine. At this point, both the electric motor and the gasoline engine can work together, linked by the advanced clutch pack. Unlike many hybrid competitors, the Sonata Hybrid can run in electric-only mode up to highway speeds, which is a key reason for its high 40 miles per gallon highway fuel economy. The drive system is engaged by simply pressing the accelerator. For brisk acceleration, the power of the engine is combined seamlessly with the power of the electric motor. Then, when the driver wants to slow down, sophisticated electronic controls shut the gasoline engine off. During this type of regenerative deceleration, the Sonata Hybrid recharges its battery through the electric motor, using the turning force of the wheels. In another effort to save fuel, anytime the car comes to a full stop, the gasoline engine is automatically shut off. With its remarkable technology and ingenious engineering, the Sonata offers a better choice in the hybrid arena. With the Sonata Hybrid, Hyundai takes a bold step forward in fuel economy leadership.
So I think they were saying it gets around 40 miles per gallon, but if you look at which is the highest miles per gallon vehicle right now, I think it's that what Toyota Prius maybe. Toyota. Damn, that was 13. Look at the hybrid right now. The Corolla hybrid can make up to 53 to 52 miles per gallon. That is pretty impressive. Now, I don't think they really tell us what type of information they have.
Yeah. It looks like the Prius at 53 mpg city, 46 highway, and 50. Just average.
That's still pretty good. I mean, that's pretty freaking amazing. Yeah, look at that. So what is this? They have a Prius and they have a Prius Prime. The Prime has 54 to 133. I think this might be a battery powered one. Oh, features. It's a dual motor drive system that uses both motors to help propel Prius Prime as a result of boost in acceleration, fuel improvement, improve efficiency, and added. Yeah, so I think it doesn't actually has a dual hybrid, which has an electric motor as well as a gasoline engine, which is pretty cool.
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, what's going on, man?
I just
Yeah.
woke up.
Oh, come on, man. It's already 1:30, bro. What happened?
I knocked out. Yesterday I fell asleep like around 4:30 because I was
Oh
playing
no.
COD. Double XP, bro.
Dude,
Oh,
same.
they still have that or what?
For Black Ops 4.
Okay,
what I
nice.
was playing. Ugh.
Yeah, I fell asleep like almost at 5. I was playing Fallout
fuck.
76.
So if anybody wants to play right
There
after
you
Clash
go.
ends, hit me up.
See.
Ugh.
So it's pretty interesting, guys. There's a lot of new stuff coming out. I think a lot of manufacturers, like I said, they're moving towards hybrids and maybe even fully electric. But right now that the oil prices are down, I mean, we're gonna see what's going to happen because what gas is like 130 right now, around there,
I
which is
know
not
Yeah.
bad.
It's 25.
Damn, that's not bad. So I think right now we're not really hurting too badly for hybrids and electric vehicles, but eventually it's gonna get to the point where we're gonna need them, and I think it's a good time to actually start to look at into the designs of the batteries and the features of the electric motors, and a lot of manufacturers are already doing this. I know a lot of manufacturers already stopped making certain models. One because they weren't selling enough of them, and another one because they weren't really fuel efficient. So instead of getting fined by the government, they rather just scrap them and invest their money in actually trying to design more of a hybrid style or electric vehicle that will actually support the EPA and the CAFE standards that they need to require or they have to meet pretty much. So it's pretty interesting, guys, the stuff that they're coming out with. That was one of the videos I like to see. I won't show you this one. You guys can watch it on your own time. Uh, does anyone have any questions on the actual alternators themselves, like how that works, how to diagnose them, stuff like that? Let's see. Where is the? No, nothing. Crickets.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
I mean,
didn't
I
make
wasn't here for most of it, so.
Cricket, 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 cricket.
Well, instead of going to the power slides, I rather do schematics. So
And yeah, the Electro does a really good job explaining alternator stuff.
yeah, that's good. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, if you guys are already doing your stuff, then you should already know how it works and all that stuff. So that's good. And I don't want to bore you with slides. So the Electro does a good thing in theory, understanding how it works, the function, what the capacitors do, what the diodes do, how the electromagnetic system works, the conversion of AC to DC. What I really want to try to help you guys out is the actual electrical portion and how to diagnose these things. Now, understanding the theory is awesome. That's always a first thing you want to understand. Next is okay, what do you do when something happens? How do you diagnose a circuit? That's the hard part. Now, normally, what I usually have you guys do is if you have any type of vehicle, the first thing I have you guys do, if you can, is always try to get a diagnostic trouble code. Now, I'm going to show you how easy it is to be an electrical technician. It's not that bad. Once you understand how to read a schematic, understand how to use a DVOM, and understand how to comprehend what you're reading, it should be pretty simple. Now, normally when you get it, a diagnostics, you get a code. So when you get a code, let's just say it is a, let's try this one, DTC B1527. No, I want to see if I can get an electrical charging code.
Mega,
Yo,
I'm here.
what's up?
Sorry.
So check this out. Let's say there's a check engine light, and we got a code for a DTC B1516, which is a battery current sensor signal. Can y'all see my screen?
What are we talking about? Or I'm sorry, I'm late.
We're talking about how to diagnose like electrical systems on your charging systems, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
But so I was telling like, okay, once you understand how the system works, you understand what an alternator does, it has to charge up the system. The voltage is usually ranging when a vehicle is on between 12.8 volts to 14.2 volts max. That's it. Now it might increase depending on what type of vehicle you have and the amount of components you have on it, but that's usually a good range. To test it, use a DVOM, put it on positive, positive, negative, negative, voltage DC, and check your voltage. If it is not charging, there could be several things that is happening. Either the computer's not controlling it, could be an open wire, could be a bad alternator, could be a bad rectifying bridge, which you usually can't replace anymore. You have to replace the whole component. But the main thing is diagnosing if it's failed. If it's failed, then you know you have to start with the actual alternator first. Now, what I'm trying to say here is, okay, let's say you got a customer concern, you say, hey, there's a check engine light and it's not charging correctly. Well, we pulled out a battery current sensor signal, a B1516. So what this is, as I always recommend to read what it is. What is it? Circuit system description. It says the B18 battery sensor is a 3-wire Hall effect sensor. The body control module supplies 5 volts and ground to the battery current sensor. The battery current sensor measures the amount of current flowing to or from the battery and supplies a pulse width modulation signal to the BCM. Okay. So the reason it could set this code, the battery current signal is less than 4% or greater than 96, or the battery current polarity is positive for 2 minutes. So that's why it would set this code. Okay. Now, how do you actually diagnose it? Well, this is where it gets into more of what you're going to be doing as an electrical technician. So, circuit/system testing. This is what you have to do. And this is, I'm kind of showing you a more advanced diagnostic feature, but this is what you do in a electrical concern with a DTC. So we have B151608. All you got to do, guys, is follow the directions. And let me show you what you got to do. So me as an electrical technician, what I would do is I would do this. I would, oh shit, highlight this, print. Is he gonna let me print only that? Yeah.
Vega,
Yo,
do you know if George fixed that wiper thing problem?
I don't know. Is he here?
I don't know.
I'm not
George.
sure. I think I asked him, but I don't remember him saying something. I think he said he didn't mess with it.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'll save that. Save as PDF. Desktop. So what I do on this in this concern is I of course get my description. What do I have to do? How do I diagnose it? And then from here, I'll have a physical paper. I'll insert it here. Desktop. So the first thing we gotta do is ignition off and all vehicle systems off. Disconnect the harness connector at the B18 current sensor. It may take up to 2 minutes for all systems to power down. Okay, so that's your first step. Oh, you know what? It's not. It doesn't have the numbers. That's not good. So actually, this is trash. We need to know the actual steps. So that might not work on that. You actually need to use this. So first step is ignition off, disconnect the connector. Now, where do we find the current sensor? How can we find a current sensor? What do we use in SI and Protoman to find where a certain component is?
Schematics.
Okay, let's use a schematic. That's one.
Component location.
Component location, exactly. So we need both things. We need the schematic and we need both component location. So let's get the schematic for this. Let me go to open this, and we're gonna do the current battery current sensor. Battery current sensor. Generator module BCM battery. Battery block. Nope, it's not that one. Let's try the next one. Battery auxiliary fuse holder. Generator. No. There it is. All right, so we need this one, which I'll zoom in. There you go, your battery current sensor, you need that guy, and we need a component location. So the component location, what I use on this is called an electrical component list. So what we're looking for is our battery current sensor. Control F, battery current sensor. All right. So here we have, it's in the engine compartment, left rear of battery on the negative battery cable. So let's see if we can find it. And there it is, number 2. So number 2 states that this is your battery current sensor. All right. Right there, that guy right there. Simple, easy. So once we know where the actual component is, once we have our actual schematic, and once we have our diagnostic steps, you're in good hands. Now, did that seem like a lot of work already?
No.
No. Okay, good. That's what I like to hear. It's not that bad, guys. The hardest thing is just looking up the information. Now, this is it makes me upset because when I have my engine performance 2, I'll have students trying to find one simple thing for like an hour. It's not that hard. You just have to put the time and effort and, try to use common sense. Okay, I'm trying to diagnose a battery current sensor. Okay, well, how in the world are you going to diagnose it if you don't even know where it's at? Does that make sense? That's with
Yeah.
anything, because in engine performance, there's going to be a lot of different sensors. Now, the only way to diagnose the sensor is to find out specifically where the sensor is so that you can actually disconnect the connector, get to the actual sensor, and test it. There's no way around that. And I've had students trying to get away with their job sheets. Like, oh, it's already tested. Okay, well, where's it at? What'd you get? How'd you get that information? How'd you get that number? I mean, you cannot fool me with this. You have to actually physically get it, and I know what the results should be because I know how these sensors work. So you have to be careful with that. I mean, this is for your own good. This is trying to help you guys become better technicians. So this is pretty much the steps that I would do. So what I'm trying to do is we're gonna disconnect it, and the next step is to test for less than 30 ohms between the low reference circuit terminal B and ground. Okay, so what do I need right here? It says disconnect the connector. What do I need? How do I know where terminal B is?
The component location.
Okay, we know where it's at. We have the schematics, but we're missing one thing. This is my battery current sensor, right? And we have A, C, B. These are the terminals at my battery current sensor. But what am I missing to actually check it?
Terminal diagram and component location.
Yes, perfect. So now we need to get back in here, open the tab. We're going to get the battery current sensor, and we're going to get the connector end view. Boom. 3 wires, 3 connectors. 1 connector, 3 wires, A, B, C. So where is B located?
Middle.
The middle. What does B say? B says it is black and violet, circuit number 5077, and it is a circuit current sensor low reference. I want you to compare this to my diagram. 5077, black and violet. And look at that. 5077, black and violet, terminal B. Is everything correct? Everything match up?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So what we're going to do here is once we have the connector in view, is you're going to get your DVOM. You're going to input one here on pin B, and the other end, you're going to go directly to ground. Okay? So pin B directly to ground, and we're measuring for resistance. All right. So test for less than 30 ohms between the low reference circuit terminal B right there, to ground. If 30 ohms or greater, you do this. Ignition off, disconnect X5 connector at the BCM, test for less than 2 ohms in the low reference circuit end to end. So let's just say we have over 30 ohms of resistance. Now, if it has over 30 ohms of resistance, what do you think the problem is going to be? Now, this is what it's saying. I disconnected this circuit right here, right? And I'm checking from here to ground. And it says that I have 30 ohms of resistance right here. What do you think it's telling me?
Bad
The
wire.
wire.
Yeah, you're more than likely have a bad wire on that circuit. So on this step, on number 2, let's say we did get 30 ohms. It says ignition off, disconnect X5 harness connector at the BCM. So if you look at my schematic again, guess what? If you look at this, let me zoom in just a little bit. This is my body control module. This is connector X4, terminal 26, connector X5, terminal 6, connector X4, terminal 18 and 21. So they all go to different connectors, guys. That's why a schematic is very important. So in this case, what it wants you to do is it wants you to go to the body control module. Guess what? You have to find it, component location, and find out where that's at. Let's do that really quick. So we're going to go back to our component lists. And we're going to look for Control F, body control module. And we're going to find it right here. And it is number 7 is the K9 body control module. Number 7. So if you look at this, the BCM is right here. Now, I want you to look at this. This is where it's hard, guys. This is where people get very confused. Is this BCM located on the driver's side or the passenger side? And where? Can anyone tell me where it's located? Driver's side, passenger side, and where?
That looks to be driver's side.
Driver's side.
Where at? You're correct, but where at?
Back
On
to
top of the
left
engine?
side, under the body paneling.
Yeah, actually, it's located on the driver's side underneath, I would say, your knee bolster. It looks like this is your feet are right here, your pedals are right here. This is more than likely going to be where your knees hit. So underneath that, you have the body control module. So that is a pretty difficult place to access this system, right? But that's where
So
it's at.
two.
What's up?
It's two like the engine or what? Or what is
No,
that?
so this is actually a view of your instrument panel. That's your whole interior instrument panel. Now,
Oh, okay.
if you look at this, you see this arrow right here? That guy right there where I'm pointing at?
Where?
It's the top
On the.
right of the picture.
Yeah, top right. That right there?
Okay.
That
Yeah.
means it's pointing forward. So if this is pointing forward, this is your driver's side and this is your passenger side. And we can see this by actually going to the numbers. And if you look at number 2 says passenger instrument panel airbag. That's number 2. That's on the left side. And if you look at, yeah, that's probably gonna be the best way to determine what side you're looking at. So right here it says passenger, so that's your passenger side. That's your driver's side. So it's not your engine bay, but it's actually the interior instrument panel. Now, guys, this is where it gets pretty fun and pretty tedious at the same time. So we found our BCM, we found our current sensor module. What it wants us to do is now disconnect X5 harness connector at the BCM. Okay, so we found the BCM. Now, body control X5. So this one has 7 connectors, and we're gonna get X5. Boom. This is X5 right here. X5, and we need to check for test for less than 2 ohms in the low reference circuit end to end. Okay, so on my schematic, B is my low reference. Where am I testing? From what point to what point? From my battery current sensor to my body control module. From where to where, guys?
B to X5.
X5, terminal 6, and B. Exactly. So, X5, number 6, says, there you go. Does everything match up? Black violet, 5077, current sensor low reference. B, on the current sensor, it is black and violet, 5077, low reference. So what we're doing is we're getting a meter and we're checking it from X5 terminal 6, which is inside the vehicle, and we're running the DVOM all the way from here all the way to your engine bay terminal B at your current sensor. So can you all imagine that? You have to run a DVOM wire from the right side of your engine bay where your battery current sensor is all the way inside to where your BCM is to connect your X5 terminal 6. Is that kind of tedious?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass, but that's what it wants you to do. So test for less than 2 ohms in the low reference circuit end to end. If 2 ohms or greater, repair for an open or high resistance in this circuit. So let's say we got 30 ohms. Let's just say we got 30 ohms. There is either a open or high resistance in the circuit. This would be high resistance because it has high resistance. It wants less than 2 ohms. Now, if you checked end to end and you have less than 2 ohms, what does it want you to do?
Replace the BCM because it's bad.
Exactly. That's it. That's how hard and simple it is to do electrical diagnostics. So, what you need to understand is finding the actual stuff, the actual paperwork, the connectors, the schematic, the locations, plus using it to pretty much use your DVOM to check for resistance, check for voltage, check for voltage drop. That is what electrical is. Now, if you look at down the line, this is a lot of stuff to do, but if you follow it step by step, it will lead you to the correct destination. Let's say that we had less than 30 ohms. Well, it wants you to do another step. It says ignition on, test for 4.8 to 5.2 volts between the 5-volt reference circuit terminal A and ground. So, on this case, we'd go back to my schematic, and if you look at here, terminal A is my current sensor control. So with your DVOM, you're going to go positive here, ground to ground, and you should get a voltage reading between 4.8 and 5.2. If less than, you do this step. If greater than, you do this step. And if it does test between it, it says test for the 4.8 to 5.2 voltage signal between terminal C and ground. So all it's doing is you're pretty much just checking your battery current sensor A, B, and C to your BCM, 5 volts, ground, and signal to make sure that my BCM and my current signal are working correctly. Right there, it gives you a process of elimination where it could be either the sensor, it could be the BCM, or it could be a wire. Does that make sense?
Indeed.
Yeah.
At least to
So
me.
yeah, hopefully everybody understands what I'm trying to say. I know it's a lot to take in, but that's what it is, guys. That's electrical. This is what I love to do out there. Uh, I like it because it tests your capabilities, and every day was something different. I don't think I could work at a job where I would be doing the same thing over and over and over again. I would get bored. And with this, I'm always testing my mind. I'm always getting more experience because every time an electrical concern comes in, it is usually never the same as the previous vehicle because there's always different things. High resistance, no voltage, blown fuse, open circuit. There's always different things out there to diagnose. And honestly, I like this work. It's tedious,
To
but
a degree.
yeah,
Some
it's
things
tedious
are
to
easier than others.
yeah, exactly. But the best thing you can do is practice, practice, practice. Once you practice, guys, it becomes secondhand. It's super easy, super easy. That's why when I'm looking through things, I'm pretty quick at it because I've been doing it for many, many years. But the only ways that you guys get better is you need to practice, practice, practice. Understanding the theory is awesome. It helps you understand how the system works. The main job that you're going to do is as a technician is you're going to repair the vehicle. Understanding the theory plus understanding how to diagnose it is the main goal for school pretty much for especially for this. And let me tell you guys, you need to learn the electrical field if you're going to stay in this system because our vehicles are getting more complex and more sophisticated every time. I think the only thing I really had trouble with is what is that noise? My dogs. Is communication networks. Communication networks are becoming faster and it's more difficult because let me just show you a quick reference real quick. Um, if you noticed, a lot of our vehicles are becoming are coming out with a lot of stuff, a lot of accessories, a lot of components. Well, the way that everything works together is through communication. It's no longer a voltage or ground being supplied to one another. It's actually
It's
a
multi-node networks.
yeah, it's insane. But all it is the way they're decreasing the amount of wires being used is they usually have one wire interconnected to a multiplexing system. So they're all tied in together and they're just sending little bits of data, little bits of voltage to one another, and they understand it. So it's kind of crazy because uh, let me show you the communication line real quick. Data communication. So look at how many data communications we have on today's modern vehicles. That's a lot. I think the latest one right now is the most communication bus. And if you look at the schematic, it's not too bad. It's just that whenever you get a code for a loss of communication, trying to figure it out is a little bit different because now you have to go to the radio, you have to go to the instrument cluster, you have to go to the amplifier, you have to go to the human interface control module, you have to go to the media player, and you have to check pretty much end to end, end to end, end to end, end to end. So it becomes a little bit more difficult because the radio, guess what? You got to take off the front dash panel. And then the instrument cluster, you got to take off the left dash panel. And then the media player, it's probably underneath somewhere. The human interface module is behind the radio. The audio amplifier is underneath somewhere else. So that's the only like difficult areas that I've ever really had is communication networks, only because the tedious part is actually removing the panels to get to the module you're trying to to diagnose pretty much.
That guy.
Yo,
For like a job like that, like, do they give you a certain amount of hours to look to diagnosis, or you have to like?
so when I did communication, I would clock in straight time. So whatever the amount of time that I'm putting in is what I'm going to get paid because these were the most difficult systems that I've diagnosed. Look at this one. This is a little bit more complex. This one
Fuck.
is your yeah, it's a little bit more. And like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've always had problems with communication networks. Uh, this one has included your engine control module, transmission, your junction block, your transfer case, your front view camera windshield. You have your telematic communication, human interface, body control module, steering control module, EBCM, electronics, suspension, chassis, and a terminating resistor. So there's a lot of modules that need to talk to each other. And it's usually through one or two wires that go through the whole entire communication network. And if one shuts down or if one is cut, that is where it becomes a little bit more difficult to diagnose because you need to find out, okay, which two stop communicating. Let's say it was my ECM to my transfer case. Well, the good thing about this diagram is that, okay, you need to check this circuit through my transmission, X115, and my junction block to get to my transfer case, because those are the only wires that run from there to there. Don't worry about the rest, because everything else is communicating. It's just transfer case to engine. So yeah, it's a little bit more difficult. These are my headaches. This is where I was always had headaches on. But the way they would pay for this, and you have to pretty much explain to them like, hey, this is not an easy task. If you want me to work on a diagnostics for a communication network, I would usually get paid straight time. So you would pretty much clock in the clock. If I started at 1 and I finish at 3, that would be 2 hours of my time. So I would get paid 2 hours times that $28 that I was getting paid. So that would be the 2 hours that I spent trying to diagnose that circuit. Now, if I couldn't figure it out, I clock out, I work on another car, come back in, clock back in, and still get paid those hours because I'm still trying to diagnose the problem. I liked electrical. I was able to get paid quite a bit on it. Like I said, the only ones that I've always had problems is communication network because every so often they would come out with a new database network. As you can see here, GM, oh shit, GM at this time they already have data links, high speed, chassis, powertrain, most, and linear interconnect network. So they already have a lot of networks combined together. If you look at this, mostly all modules connect to each other. So yeah, there's a lot. And if you look at this, remember I was saying about like your switches on your car, on your truck, on your Tahoe? Everything was power and ground, power and ground. If you look at this, here you have a lot of little switches, and they're not really called switches anymore. They're actually called modules now. So if you look at this is a communication network for this truck. And if you look at here, you have a seat heating cooling switch, window motor driver, window switch driver, window switch passenger, window switch left rear. Why are these switches connected to a communication network? Because they're all little modules. Every switch now in today's modern vehicle is literally a driver or a module that sends a little bit of data information to another module, and then the module does most of the work. So
What does that?
it
What does that little truck mean?
on this one, if you look at closely, it actually means either regular cab, or I'm sorry, extended cab, or four door.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So it's
What
I'm
truck
glad you
is
saw
this?
that. What's up?
What truck is? What vehicle is this?
This one is a 2016 Silverado. So it has extended
Oh,
cab and four door. I think it has a difference because I don't even think the extended cabs have the switches on the back. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that might be why it might be different. So just be careful on that.
yeah.
But you will see that stuff like that on different vehicles, makes and model. Like I said, I more specialize in GM because I worked there for 8 years. Uh, but Ford, uh, Infinity, Nissan, they're all gonna have their own type of information. And I've had students that have different makes and models, and I can't help them sometimes because pro demand is very limited in resources that we need. And the only way we can get that proper information to properly diagnose it is to get the information directly from the dealer so that we can use that to properly diagnose the circuit. Because I don't like to recommend something if I know 100% sure it's not it. You know what I mean? I don't like to kind of like just throw parts in there to see, oh, this should fix it, this should fix it. No, I like to make sure that the circuits are good. If the module's bad, why is it bad? Is it because there's no power? You had to fry, so on and so forth. But
I
that's me.
I have a sorry. I have a friend that's gonna bring me his car tomorrow.
Uh huh.
One of his windows doesn't go up,
Okay.
but like it works sometimes. I don't know because I was doing a suspension on it, and then he wanted to fix it, but I didn't have any time because he needed the car back.
What kind of vehicle is it?
2009 Nissan Altima.
2009 Nissan. Well, on here, excuse me, I'm not gonna have the diagrams for it, but let's see if the school has it. But he said it works
And
sometimes, right?
yeah, um, I was thinking maybe like the connection or some shit. Maybe
Could
like
be the
clean it with
connection.
that greaser, with
Yeah,
the electrical cleaner. That's what I was thinking at first.
let
I
me
mean, if
show.
it
Let me check
works,
something real
sometimes
quick.
it should have some connection, right?
Yeah, it could be connection. 2009 Nissan,
Altima, yeah.
Nissan Altima.
It's the S.
Yes. Let's see if it has it. Diagrams, system, power mirrors, power windows. Four door or two door?
Four door.
Sedan. Hey, well here you go, man. You got access to schematics. So if you look at this, it looks a lot different now. And now, which one's having the problem?
The driver, or they both don't work.
Driver
Like
and
the back,
passenger front
yeah.
or the back?
It's the passenger, the back side. Fuck.
Rear. So the right rear window, right? Passenger rear
Yeah,
window.
that one and the driver's side.
All right, so if you look at here, you got a simple motor. If you look at here, rear power window motor, right hand. So this is the right rear window motor. Now, what do you think it needs? It only has 2 wires going into it. So what do you think it's doing?
Back connection.
Well, it could be, but I mean, what do you think 1 and 3 are receiving at my motor?
1 and 3 power and ground.
Yeah, power and ground. So what you can do is to make sure that your motor is working correctly, is I would probably take off that panel and get a power and ground and apply it to 1 and 3 and then just reverse the polarity. See if the window motor goes up and down. If it does go down very nice and smoothly, then we have a problem with either the switch, which we have to diagnose, or it's coming from your, what is this? Main power window and door lock unlock switch. So this is your main switch. So now if you look at this, you see this is where it gets more complex. Because if you look at this is actually your main window switch on your driver's side switch. It has a computer in here. In this computer, it pretty much tells it what to send to my rear power window switch, left hand, right hand, and yeah, so it's control. This one's more complex. Not only that is, do you have an intelligent key or do you have a remote keyless entry system? This one's a little bit more difficult, and it really doesn't tell me what's up.
It's a push start.
Okay, so then it does have the intelligent key.
And
Now,
his keys all like fucking taped up and shit.
oh no. But
Like,
this is the
chingado.
switch, 5 and 4. And you see, this is the actual electrical board internally, but it doesn't tell me exactly what it does, and I'm not sure exactly what it's trying to say here. But you only have 3 wires coming in from your main switch to your rear power window switch, which then controls the power and ground to the motor. Excuse me. This one might be a little bit difficult because I can't really understand what it's asking for. If anything, we would see if we can find a diagnostic chart for window switches. Let's look at.
to make
Uh-huh.
something like to give it like power, how you said, to connect the motor, right?
Mhm.
Like, what would you make? Well, I know you had that tool to fucking get power, but like,
Yeah. What
what
you
do
can
I
do is
do?
just get a fused jumper wire connected to your battery positive. That can be your positive, and then your ground. You can just get another wire and ground it out anywhere, and then you
Yeah.
just touch them together. Make sure you don't touch them together. Make sure you touch it at the connector, and it should
Yeah.
work. Yeah, because if you touch them together, that's why your fused jumper wire will pop.
Because that's what the thing is good for, right? That fucking machine, the tool.
Yeah, dude, it comes in handy. That's why I like it a lot.
What's it called again?
Power probe.
Power Pro.
Yeah, power probe.
I might just look for one of those too.
Yeah, you can. I think the cheapest ones are like $40. They're not bad.
Offer them. I have my
Small
guy, the guy
location.
that steals shit. Get me one.
Main power switch, D7. That's not what I'm looking for. See, the only thing about the auto repair source is it doesn't really give you diagnostics on how to fix it. So this might be a little bit difficult. Mode motor, intake door. Yeah, I don't see anything. It gives me like the locations, but it doesn't give me really a diagnostic troubleshooting chart on how to fix it. It tells me how to replace it, and it charges an hour and a half, 1.1 hours to replace one side. But to actually diagnose it, that will be a little bit more difficult because we would actually pretty much just have the schematic and we got to figure out what's going on. What I would do personally is I would probably go directly to the, how do I move this? Directly to my motor, make sure the key's on the on position, and move the switch up and down and check at 1 and 3 if I get polarity and reverse polarity with a DVOM or test light to ensure that my switch is sending the correct signals to terminals 1 and 3, which should be 1 power, 3 ground, and when you reverse the process, 3 power, 1 ground. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Just to make sure that you're getting the actual output. Now, if you are getting the output, then more than likely you're getting a bad motor that has to be replaced. But that would be the easiest thing to check out. Just make sure you're getting the correct voltage and ground out of the switch to the motor, and make sure that it's getting correct information. If it is working, then more than likely you have a bad motor. I think, like I said before, uh, on these motors, they're very similar to like a starter motor. And when a starter motor goes out or the brushes start to wear out, it will not move. So actually, if you give it a tap on the actual motor itself, it'll shift the brushes and it'll start to work again. I would even try that. If you do that and it starts to work again, then more than likely you have a bad motor internally and you have the brushes that are just worn out completely. This is going to be an
Yeah.
interesting one. Because you do have the schematics here, but as you see here, it looks a little bit different than what I've been going over. Uh, yeah, it's a little bit different. It still has
But
the
I get my
fuses on top.
2022.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a little bit more difficult.
It's because
But
it includes inputs for what you're actually doing.
yeah,
Like if
the
you're
thing,
unlocking or locking the door.
yeah, it actually tells you. The only thing is I've never worked with this, so I'm not sure exactly how to read it. You know what I mean? So it is telling me
Yeah.
the inputs, the outputs, and what it's actually doing, the computer, and all that stuff, which is good information if I understood it. But even I don't understand this. So it's a
Where'd
little
everybody go?
I don't know.
Be like,
We're dying slowly.
Slowly
take
fading
some.
away. We're about to end the class anyways. But yeah, Steven, check it out. Do the simple stuff. Check the powers and grounds on the output to the motor and see what you got. If you do have power and ground, then more than likely, like you said, you have a loose connection or you have a bad motor. And also,
Yeah.
if it's going very slow on the rails, check the channel where the window runs on and make sure it's out of debris. Make sure that there's no stuff in the way of it because it will mess it up and it will slow it down and it'll overrun the motor, which will overheat.
Yeah, cause I was thinking of just buying those things first, cause I still need it for my truck. That'll
The
to clean the electrical wires, the
Oh, okay,
connections,
yeah.
and cause I have trouble with one of my back door. It has the the unlock button,
Yeah,
but when I click it, I just hear like a click, and like it doesn't like it's probably like stuck or some shit.
it
The
could be.
lock.
Yeah, it could
I
be
was about to
stuck.
say it also could be the motor's not strong enough now. Motor's
Yeah,
burned out.
Yeah,
worn out. Yeah, those are all
that's
good
why
possibilities.
I still needed that stuff anyway. So
Yeah, the best thing to do is just check for voltage and ground. I mean, if you have good voltage and ground, and it's still like struggling to move, and like John said, more than likely you got a bad motor. It's old and it can't support all that amperage anymore. But
yeah,
always do your basic checks first before trying to, it's this, it's this. That's just me. I always try to check it off first before doing anything.
yeah.
Yeah. But does anybody have any questions for today?
Nah.
What is the
No.
meaning
Oh,
of life?
I was gonna say.
What is the meaning of life? I
No,
don't
Have
know.
sir.
a
What's it called what was it, a few days ago when I went to go, or a week ago when I went to go buy Fallout 76.
Mhm.
I asked my friend, I'm like, hey, can you pick me up? So, cause I don't have a car.
Mhm.
He's like, yeah, sure. And he brought his sister's new RAV4.
Uh-huh.
Jesus Christ. He's like, you want to see something? I'm like, what's up? He's like, look at the owner's manual. That shit was like a Bible.
Yep. They're filled with information, dude.
And it was cool because I didn't know this was the thing where it reads the road, and if you try to like turn into one lane, kind of, it pulls you
It
back.
pulls you back. Yep.
I'm like, oh, what the fuck is
Yep.
this?
It's crazy,
Like, you
dude.
actually have to use your blinker to go to
Yep.
the next lane.
It is so insane.
And
And
it's weird. It's fucked because it feels fucking bad when it
it's like
pulls
it's
you
pushing
back.
you back. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
and
insane,
you
dude.
kind of like freak out. So you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna fucking spin out.
Yeah. It actually uses the electric power stream motor and of course your control modules, your BCMs, because everything's controlled by computer now. If it doesn't see you blinking to your left, it's pretty much saying like, why do you want to? You're swerving to the left. You're passing these lines, so it kind of pulls you back because
Yeah.
you're not trying to get to the next lane. So it's cool. It's a safety feature. It works, but it freaks people out because it's new. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
crazy.
because it's a 2020 RAV4.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Yeah, the first time I drove a car like that, it freaked me the hell. I was like, "What the hell?" I had to
I
like
was
struggle.
too. I was
Yeah,
too. I was like, bro, I don't like this.
Well, yeah, obviously, if you're just in a parking lot, you're not gonna bother with turn signals. You're just
yeah,
gonna turn, like if you're just driving around your own parking lot,
exactly. It's so freaking
and
crazy,
it
man.
tries to rip your control away.
Yep, it's insane, man. But like I said, all these things are like for safety reasons. They're adding a lot of stuff. It's insane, man. And it's always good. Like I said, owner's manual. There's a lot of stuff in there, and not everybody reads it. But if you were to come across this and a customer were to bring this to you and say, "Hey, I can't turn when the blinker's not on," well, ma'am, that's actually the way it's designed. So it's actually a normal operating system. So, but people don't really look into that because
Thank you for the
nobody
300
like.
bucks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, shit, I would charge them like, hey, you want me to look up the information and read it to you? Well, there it is, $100, 1 hour at least. So it's crazy, it's funny, but yes, the
Like,
technology nowadays is insane. What's up?
I'm thinking of putting an electric fan in my Tahoe.
Yeah, that'd be badass. You're gonna
Yeah,
manually turn it on, or are you gonna have it through a switch or relay?
I don't know. It's gonna be kind of hard for me to do that. So I'm
Electric
thinking about
fan.
it.
Who had one? I think Manuel had one where it actually turned on at a certain temperature.
Is that like you have to like do it with a control module or what?
No, actually,
Or
there's a sensor that plugs into the radiator, and when the sensor hits it's like this one right here. When the sensor hits a certain degree, it sends a ground signal to the relay, which then the relay provides power to the fans, which turns it on like that. So it does it automatically. It's pretty cool. Or some people, what I've seen is they set up the wiring and they turn it on manually through a switch. It's up to you. If you do decide to do that, we can look into like a diagram and I can help you set it up. Or you can get a kit that's pretty much ready to go. All you have to do is set up the relay in the correct way, and it should work. I mean, there's different systems out there. I would just do some research because, like I said,
yeah,
there's a lot of systems out there.
that's
But
what I've been
it will
doing.
help.
I've been trying to like researching with them in.
Yeah, yeah. Do a lot of research, man. That's what I do a lot, also. Uh, and find out what's the best option. Find the ones that do automatically. If you want to connect it separately, there's a lot of different things out there, man. Jag sells
Yeah,
their own, and look like this one, 185 degrees, it turns on. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of different things out there, different options.
yeah.
That'll work.
That one, sir.
Cool, cool. Any other questions, guys? Don't forget we're gonna be doing the finals uh starting on the 8th till Wednesday. I'll put the instructions on Blackboard as an announcement. And on the 8th, I'll give you guys the password and you guys can do it there. Just make sure it's done on lockdown browser. Continue with the homework, make sure it's done by then, and the electude as well. And I'll start inputting grades there.
We have to download that lockdown
Yes,
browser.
it has to be on a lockdown browser, which works on a Windows PC or a Mac computer. Now, if you don't have a PC or Mac, the STC Open Labs are open. All you have to do is make an appointment and take the test there. So you have different options.
Okay, cause well, I could just use my
Yeah,
laptop,
I
right?
hate my math
Yeah, it has
class.
to be a laptop. Yeah. What's up?
I hate my math class
Why?
because apparently we have a project and she hasn't even told us like what the hell it's on or anything. She just posted like a whole bunch of it's called questions,
Uh huh.
and like I don't know if I'm only supposed to do one question or
Oh no.
all of
Yeah,
them.
all of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But it's because like when she explains it, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you guys one question, and you're gonna have to answer it." And I was like, "What the?" So I'm in the middle of just doing a whole ass presentation on like what was like 13 questions that she barely posted like Monday.
Yeah, I need to do mine right now. Also, I got the final. Well, they give us like a final preview for blueprinting and drafting, so I gotta do that right now. So it's like fucking 50 questions. Like, oh my
Uh,
god. So I gotta do that too, man. I'm on the same boat.
I'm so done with this, man.
We're almost done, guys. This
I
week
got
and next week,
scared
that's
for
it.
the student suspension final.
Oh
I'm
no.
scared.
I'm
That
scared for
bad?
my math final, man. I finally got to a C, finally, and this. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna drop.
No, the C's good, man. It's still not good. It's still not bad.
No, no, I mean like my grade because of the
Oh
stupid
shit.
presentation. I hope I'm doing it correctly because she doesn't give us like any instructions on it. She just said, "You're doing a presentation." I'm like, "How is it gonna work?"
Yeah.
Email you the presentation? Are we gonna get
Yeah,
it in class via like Teams or something? What's up?
no, it's like we're doing it on our own, and she posted it on Blackboard, and that's as much as we're getting. Just the questions, and the description literally says, "You're doing a presentation on a problem. Solve it." I was like, "What the fuck?" And I have to type out how to. And the thing is, most of the problems are like one word problems. So we have to choose one problem. I can't choose a one word problem to do a whole page on and a whole presentation on. So what the hell's going on here? I'm confused and I'm lost and I don't like it.
You got this, man. Just make it happen.
Writing an English essay for a math class.
I know. That's
That's
exactly
weird.
what I was thinking. I was so pissed because I don't even like doing regular essays. Now I have to do a mathematic essay. No, thank you.
Mathematical essay.
In high school, my English comp, I didn't do a single assignment because I'm absolutely god awful at writing essays and shit. Right.
Dude.
But I had like 4 other like hands-on classes: the automotive, woodworking, electronics, and construction, like actually
Mhm.
building a house construction. Right.
Yeah.
That's the degree I was going for in high school. And I just give him a bunch of things that were cool that I made in classes. And he's like, okay, yeah, you pass, here you go.
That's badass. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Is that it for today, sir?
That's it, man. That's it for today. Just
Something-
keep up with the announcement. I'm gonna send it today so I can open up the final for the 8th, and you guys can do it from the 8th to the 13th.
Alright.
Good shit.
Yeah. All right, guys. If you have any
Okay.
questions, let me know. Message me, text me, whatever you gotta do, and that's it. That's only this week and next week, guys.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys.